Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl News. My name is Brian, and Riley Gaines causes this transgender activist who goes by the name Blossom to melt down so bad that Piers Morgan had to cut off her mic in the middle of this wild interview. Let's dive in.
That is not true. Can we talk about Lia Thomas? Now, I bring up Lia Thomas because Riley knows her very well. I bring up Lia Thomas because the reality is, yes, she won some games, but Lia also lost some games to cis women. So there are some cis women who are faster than Lia. There are some cis women who are stronger than Lia. And again, when we talk about genetics, there are some cis women that have natural higher testosterone levels than trans women. That's why some of them may look more masculine. Iman Khalif had to experience that transphobia, which, by the way, transphobia affects all women. And now that Trump has excluded trans women from playing in sports, all women are going to be subjected to rigorous tests to make sure that they're not trans. And that does include cis women. I don't care how feminine they look. You could potentially be subjected to these rigorous tests because Donald Trump took his peanut head, red, orange behind and signed an executive order that he doesn't even know anything about. He's a convicted felon, 34 felonies, right? We also need to be focusing on letting convicted felons in this country vote since we elected a convicted felon, right? There's so much more work. The economy is tanking here in America.
All right, Riley.
Gas prices are high.
Okay.
Why is Trump focused so much on trans people?
Because he wants to preserve the integrity. Because
guess what?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Blossom. Because he's up at. I'll tell you why, Blossom.
I'm a woman.
Hang on, Riley. Hang on, Blossom. Here's why. Because he's up against complete lunatics like you who think it would be right to have a gender-neutral Olympics. A gender-neutral Olympics is the most insane thing I've ever heard from any trans activist in history. Lunacy.
Exactly why Donald Trump won.
Well, you haven't found that until you met me. I'm not your average trans woman, in case you didn't notice that. I'm not your average trans woman.
Riley.
People like Blossom are exactly why Donald Trump won on November 5th. People, I believe,
Girl, please. Donald Trump rigged the election, which is why he's sitting in office now.
Can we mute?
And he's sitting up there booty clapping.
Mute Blossom, please, because she can't stop talking. Riley, you respond.
People turned out, I believe, in masses to the polls on November 5th to embrace Donald Trump, to embrace the America First agenda, to embrace his cabinet picks. But more so, I believe people turned out to the polls to reject absurdity. And that is exactly what the past 30 minutes have been on this program, Pierce, is totally, entirely, and thoroughly absurd from top to bottom, saying there should be a gender-neutral Olympics.
I know.
Are you serious?
Madness.
Do you also believe, Blossom, that we should combine the Paralympics and the Olympics? I would love to hear an answer to that.
Okay, I'll ask her. Bring back Blossom. Blossom, should we combine the Paralympics with the regular Olympics? Have them all compete with each other?
I mean, why not? And to go back to Riley's point to
why
that
not?
last point.
Well, I guess Blossom was right about one thing. She is not your average trans woman. She's below average. Below average in practically every single sense of the word. To sit there and say that the Paralympics should be on par with the Olympics, not in the sense that we should elevate them both to a higher degree. No. That the Paralympics should be held with everybody. Okay, so essentially there's no more Paralympics. You're taking that away and saying the person in the wheelchair, go run the 100-meter dash. That's insane. Right? Simply put, that is absolutely insane. Furthermore, it is absolutely asinine. And then she has the gall. Blossom has the gall here to say that, oh, Lia Thomas, oh, she won some, she lost some. Okay, here's a really good way to know just how dominant Lia Thomas was for a couple of years. Lia Thomas, a transgender woman swimmer from the University of Pennsylvania, won the 200-yard freestyle race at the Ivy League Women's Swimming and Diving Championships on Friday in 1:43 seconds. Her next closest competitor finished at 1:45.82 seconds. So essentially, it wasn't that close. However, it's interesting that they use a completely different format here. That one is 1 minute, and one is the word a minute and 43, and the other's one. So that's kind of obfuscates things. But again, this is CNN, so classic. The win came a day after Thomas won the 500-meter freestyle in 4 minutes and 37 seconds, beating her next closest competitor by 7.5 seconds. So, simply put, Lia Thomas went on a huge run in 2022. Now, I will give some credit to the NCAA. Her dominance in the pool has raised some questions about the NCAA's policies towards transgender women athletes and the proper balance between inclusion and fairness. For over a decade, the NCAA has required transgender women to be on testosterone suppression treatment for a year before they are allowed to compete on the women's team. So what that really means is Lia Thomas, being born a male, going through puberty as a male, then has to take testosterone suppressors in order to compete in a female space. On one hand, that seems like a good way to handle the problem. On the other, it's still an issue as Lia Thomas now has an inherent physical advantage. It does not matter that her testosterone levels are suppressed. What matters is she has already had years, almost 2 decades as a man, and unfortunately for the women competing against her, had a massive advantage. Now, she wasn't winning events by massive margins. 7.5 seconds isn't that huge in certain ways. For instance, Michael Phelps, he used to blow the competition out of the water. And so this isn't comparing apples to oranges here. After all, Lia Thomas isn't Michael Phelps, but let's be real here. Michael Phelps is completely built different, and it allows him to be the athlete that he is, or at least was. I think he's retired now. And I remember him just going on this dominant run for like 12 years in the Olympics. So now back to reality. Now back to a world where the NCAA has been ordered by Donald Trump, no more transgender, no more men and women's sports. Okay? It is that simple. And instead of dealing with the reality of, well, that kind of makes sense, here's the scientific case for it, people like Blossom, who is a transgender activist, have no ability to sit there and tell the actual truth. And what is the truth? A man is competing in women's sports. She has no choice but to continue to push the envelope forward. So much so that even though she probably doesn't know what the Paralympics really is, she's out there supporting the whole idea that they are on an even keel, that people with disabilities can go out there against Olympic athletes. Now, I do not want to take anything away from people who compete in the Paralympics, okay? Those people are heroes on a scale that we don't fully understand because they have overcome obstacles that are just a natural part of daily life for us. But it's a struggle for them to do things that's easy for us to do. So my hat's off to anyone who's ever won a gold medal, bronze medal, silver medal, or even gotten to that point. That is a kind of inspiration I want to see in my life. That is not, however, inspiring when I see a man competing in a women's space. That's been Riley Gaines' entire point, and Blossom is out here saying this objectively ridiculous nonsense and trying to spin it as the best way forward, as the truth, not as an alternative, but as the better way, when it absolutely is not. Riley Gaines has been at the forefront of this fight because she's lost to people like Lia Thomas. And as a matter of fact, I think she lost to Lia Thomas. And she was like the number 2 swimmer at the time when Lia Thomas magically showed up and blew the competition out of the water. And Piers Morgan, he has carried a lot of water for Democrats over the years, but he's starting to realize that you can't deny objective truth. You cannot deny reality. You cannot deny the fact that men competing in women's spaces are not a good thing. And ultimately, Blossom has no choice but to continue to push the absolute crazy part of the left wing and pass it on as the best alternative. So, this is a bless your heart kind of moment here. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.